From a cold and a snowy Beijing, good evening to you, Ken and Susan, and to your distinguished guests and members of the Ireland-China Business Association. It seems like no time, Susan, since you were here in October as part of the very strong delegation from the Irish horse and equine sector for the China Horse Fair. Good evening, Taoiseach, Minister Flanagan, Minister Coveney, Minister Fitzgerald, Minister for State Harris, 也我的老朋友中国驻爱尔兰大使楚建国晚上好 Ladies and gentlemen, since your annual dinner last November, Ireland-China relations have powered ahead. We had last December a 9-day state visit by President Higgins. He was accompanied by Minister Flanagan, Minister Noonan, and a strong business delegation. In May of this year, Premier Li Keqiang and 5 senior ministers were received by the Taoiseach and his senior colleagues at Ashford Castle. Minister Bruton led his annual trade and investment mission to China in September. It was a highly productive week. Minister O'Sullivan last month in October was here for her annual visit to promote Ireland's education interests in China. Minister Kelly was here in March, who had a very productive visit in respect of the environment and green tech and other interests that Ireland are trying to promote here in China. And of course, to kick off the year, last year, as he will do in 2015, Minister of State Harris led a powerful Irish presence at the Financial Services Forum in Hong Kong, which is, of course, China's largest financial centre. A series of high-level Chinese visitors have come to Ireland in the meantime throughout the course of the year. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, our government at home is strongly committed to building the already excellent relations based on mutual respect and, in our case, a strong adherence to the One China policy. Taoiseach, Minister Flanagan and their colleagues have given clear guidelines to Team Ireland in China to bring this relation forward in concrete terms and to achieve set objectives. Team Ireland here consists, as you know, of the Embassy in Beijing, the Consulate General in Shanghai, the new Consulate General, it's a year old but it's still new, in Hong Kong under Peter Ryan's leadership, as well as the Visa Office here in Beijing, which is manned by staff from the Department of Justice and Equality, and of course the state agencies, IDA, Enterprise Ireland, Board BIA and Tourism Ireland, which soon will appoint a China director for the first time to be resident here in this country. That's good news. Ladies and gentlemen, 2014-2015 have been years of accomplishment in Ireland-China relations. Two-way trade in 2015 is likely to turn out at about €9.5 billion, according to CSO statistics. Ireland is still in surplus in its trade with China. In that respect, we are one of only a small handful of European Union states. 2014 saw Irish company exports to China grow by 46%, and growth is likely to have been sustained in 2015. Food and drink exports from Ireland to China were up 36% in 2014, and in the first half of this year, the major sectors have seen a year-on-year increase of 25%. Chinese investment in Ireland is growing. President Xi Jinping told President Higgins last December here in Beijing that the Chinese leadership is encouraging Chinese corporations to invest in Ireland. Premier Li said exactly the same thing to the Taoiseach in Ashford Castle. And 4 of Minister Bruton's senior interlocutors here in China said the same thing to him in September. We've seen very strong developments this year. Huawei have not only upscaled, but they've broadened the base of their investment in Ireland. Huawei, of course, is a long-standing IDA client. And in the financial services area, there have been new and additional investments from Chinese leasing houses and the arms of the major banks in Ireland. The Ireland-China Technology investment fund, which was set up last year at $100 million, has been fully used and will have been fully used by the end of the year by investing in Irish growth technology companies seeking partnerships in China. And a phase 2, much larger than phase 1, is foreseen for the coming years. And of course, we saw the major acquisition by a Chinese private company of Avalon, Irish company, market leader in the air services, the air leasing area. This was a very big signal. An investment amounting to $2.5 billion US net of debt by a Chinese corporation in Ireland has been noticed. And in education, we've seen good progress. Next year, Minister O'Sullivan has laid the ground for Ireland to be celebrated as the country of honour here in China in the nationwide week-long Higher Education Expo. And this year, 2015, January through August, we've seen a 34% increase in the number of Chinese students applying for study visas in Ireland. A final word, ladies and gentlemen, if you bear with me, on China's economy. There has been a lot of exaggerated and exaggeratedly negative coverage in the Western media in the last 6 months. The economy is slowing, but this is the desired objective of the government and the leadership in this country. The next 5-year plan, covering 2016 to 2020, posits trend growth of 6.5%. This is not a surprise. It's lower than the double-digit growth of earlier years, but it had to be so, because the previous growth was not sustainable. There's a rebalancing of the economy underway, from industry and infrastructure and real estate to domestic consumption. There's a rebalancing to improve the quality of life of the people, to foster innovation, high technology, to foster a green economy, to increase imports into China, to match exports from China, to increase outward investment from China, to match and surpass inward investment into China, to increase the importance of the services sector, to develop sustainable urbanization, and to further liberalise the capital account and the currency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all good news for Ireland. China will continue to grow. Remember that 7% growth doubles the size of an economy in 10 years. Trend still points to China having a larger economy by 1/3 than the United States in 2030. And what Ireland does best, China will continue to need, to desire, and be able and willing to pay for. I'm thinking of food, education, technology, investment opportunities in the only English language country in the Eurozone. So looking ahead to 2016 and beyond, China will continue to offer many opportunities to Irish businesses, to education institutions, and to other Irish interests, which are prepared to make the necessary commitment to this extraordinary market. And as you, ladies and gentlemen, embrace these opportunities, Team Ireland in China will continue to be your committed partner. Thank you very much.